Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This your boy King Gabe here, and as the thumbnail, or should I say the title of the video suggests, yes, got some things to say about the prophet Elijah, and of course Jesus Christ himself. Uh, those, if any of you have seen the previous video of Brookwood, remember I stated once a while back ago, probably like some weeks ago, that every now and then I would still record the service there. And if I didn't mention that, well, I'm mentioning it now. But yeah, every now and then, I would still do like actually record the service itself, like actually taking it down there. But for other times, that I actually go there, but don't record it, I would come back and tell you guys, about it, about what happened in the morning service, as well as also the Sunday school class that I go to before the service. And yeah, one of the reasons of switching to doing that most of the time and recording the service every now and then, because yeah, recording with this camera, yes, I'm not recording with this camera, yeah, and then having to put the chip and all that in here to put in the computer and edit and all that. Yeah, it's a little time consuming there. It's a little time consuming, especially when I do it for the royal talks and everything. So, but yeah, especially in that case, but like I said, I still would do it every now and then. But yeah, mostly talk about it on other occasions. Yeah, so other times to sort of keep some daily videos in the Brookwood playlist. So yeah, there's pretty much that. So the reason behind this video, even though I have recorded, even though the service is from this past Sunday, as of the day I'm recording this, has been uploaded yesterday before I started recording this video. Thing is, I actually wanted to still come home and talk a little bit about the morning service. I didn't make it to the Sunday school. I didn't really make it to the Sunday school last Sunday, but I did make it to the morning service. And I wanted to talk about the morning service. What we talked about there, our guests, not so much, not guest, our associate pastor, Mr. Scott Ray. I can't hardly pronounce his last name. I know his last name when I see it, because he's on my Facebook friend list and everything. But it's kind of hard to pronounce his last name. But yeah, Brother Scott though. What he talked about, since Pastor David Rice was absent that day because he was attending to had a grand that just came into the world and everything, so celebrating that there, So anyway, so what happened? So yeah, like I said, Elijah and Jesus. So we'll start with Elijah. That's what we were talking about in the church. Definitely check that out to hear the sermon and everything. It's on the playlist, the video and everything. And you can also go to the official church website to see the full service. The full service as it is, as well as other services. So with that said, about Elijah, basically I just want to pretty much tell you the general about Elijah. So yeah, Elijah, he prophesied. He was one of the prophets during the time of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. Yes, yeah. And one thing Scott stated was, this was during the time, a lot of time the influence of what Israel would do during that time, as far as whether they served God or not, was based upon their king and queen. Basically their king, yeah. But yeah. But with both an evil king and queen like Ahab and Jezebel, not very good there, because now they were influenced to go back to the idol worshiping of Baal. Yeah, sort of makes me think of the idol back in Exodus, when they were waiting for Moses to come down from the mountain, and it was like, well, let's build a golden calf, and that be our God. Whoa, and like in the Ten Commandments movie, when they built the scene of building the golden calf, and they was all dancing and stuff, running, and Moses was pretty mad about that there. So yeah, so like I said, yeah, they were doing the idol worshiping and everything, and Elijah received a message about that there was a drought coming. Yeah, it was a drought that was coming. But of course, they didn't listen to him, especially the king and the queen. It's like, hey, get out of here with that. They didn't want to have no part of him. And let's just say, on top of that, especially Jezebel, oh boy, they not only did they not believe Elijah, but they wanted to get rid of Elijah. They wanted to kill him. There, pretty much like how King Herod, under the influence of his wife Herodias, wanted to kill John the Baptist, and remember Herodias had her daughter make a request, a request on King Herod's birthday. Herod was like, "I'll give you anything I want. I want the head of John the Baptist," and her request was granted. And that was how John the Baptist got beheaded. So, yeah, as I've heard people state talking about the Jezebel spirit, yeah, that girl Herodias and her daughter were pretty much under the influence of the Jezebel spirit, as some people are in today's time there, yeah, with a lot what's going on and everything. So going back with what happened with Elijah, as one of the pastors I say used to, as I hear one of the pastors say, okay, let me move on now. Y'all get that when you get home. So yeah, they wanted to kill Elijah. So the Lord protected Elijah, and even kept him well fed with meat and bread from ravens, and some drink of water from the brook. But then eventually he was told, a little change of plans in that, to go to a widow that would supply him, with his food and water and everything. So he goes to this widow, and she has a son and everything. And, it seemed like things are good for the moment there. And, she has a little room prepared for him. But then her son dies, and she feels like there's some curse upon her. Why have you done this to me? So Elijah takes the son, her son that just died, prays to God, and after a while, her son comes back to life there. So after that happens, then the last thing I want to mention that's really epic about Elijah, when there's this whole test of who is the real God. People talk about, well, Baal is our God. So Elijah said, okay, got a challenge for you. We're gonna set up an offering. You're gonna set an offering up for your God. I'm gonna set up an offering for God. Just God. So they set up these offerings. Now the thing is, the fire is gonna be lit by it's not gonna be lit by them. The fire for the offering is going to be provided by God. Yeah, so in Israel's case back then, they're going to rely on Baal to light the fire, but Elijah is going to call upon God himself, the one true God. Um, so, and also to make it even more, uh, to even add more to it, they dig a trench around the altar where the offering's at, with a trench of water in it, and so now, so he lets Israel go first. Like, okay, let's see what you guys got. So Israel, they start doing all their, they're serving and it's like, oh, whatever it is that they chanted to Baal. And it was all kind of, they went on for a whole, I think they were given a whole day, and even I think a whole night on top of that. So a whole day and night, nothing happened. And I just say, yeah, maybe I might want to try saying that. Maybe your guys asleep or something. sort of makes me think of the Ten Commandments with Sokar, that Ramses was praying to bring his son back to life when death of the firstborn plague was upon Egypt. Hear me, Sokar. Bring my son back, and I will raise a city up to you, higher than that of the pyramids. Hear me, Sokar. Yeah, so I remember my wife and I, we were watching that movie. I told us the so-called prophet, like, you do realize I am a statue, right? I'm not really, God or anything like that. Just a statue. I'm just here to look cool. I don't really do anything. So apparently Baal doesn't do nothing. Baal don't do jack. So Elijah prays to the one true God, and fire. Not only does his fire provided for him, but that fire lights up the offering and even evaporates the water in the trench. And the other people are like, He is God. He is God. He is God. That's God. That's the real God. That's the real God. Yep, but apparently, it don't quite. But as Scott said in the sermon, yeah, that didn't quite last long. Yeah, because eventually they were back to doing idols again. And yeah, you would think seeing something like that, God lighting up a trench of water with fire. How could you deny that that's the one true living God seeing something like that? I mean, it's pretty much like denying the parting of the Red Sea. But sadly, that's the way even people in today's time are. It's a lot of stuff happening. A lot of times, stuff happening right in front of them that can't be explained, only possible because of God, and they still don't believe it. Yeah, it's pretty sad when you think about it there, but like I say, it's there. So that's what I wanted to say on Elijah, kind of share in addition to our Sunday service. Now about Jesus. Oh boy, about Jesus Christ. Let's just say the reason for this now is because I just woke up before recording this. I hadn't too long just woke up from a dream where I, of course, you guessed it, saw Jesus Christ. And this is not the first time I have seen Jesus in a dream. So let me go back a bit before I tell you about the one today. Let me tell you about a couple other incidents that I have encountered Jesus in a dream. The first time was as a little kid. I was probably like elementary, and one of the things I watched a lot of back then, because we had like a VHSs of this, and even checked some out of the library sometimes. The Greatest Adventures stories from the Bible. If any of y'all hadn't heard about that, it always would start. The opening of this series would start off. While surveying the site of some ancient ruins, two young archaeologists Derek and Margot and their nomad friend Moki find themselves trapped and sinking in a whirling quicksand. And when the dust settles, they stare up in awe at a vast chamber filled with giant relics and artifacts from another civilization. And there, on the far end of the cabin, a door with a strange inscription. All who enter these portals pass through time. And the premise of the series was that these three, Derek, Margot, and Moki, were traveling through different time periods of the Bible, like from seeing Moses, people that would tell them about the creation, Adam and Eve, Daniel in the lion's den, David and Goliath, stuff in the New Testament with Jesus himself, of course. So they would travel to all these different events in time. And yeah, I know. First thing you probably say, like, wait a minute, time travel. No, it's not like your normal, fiction shows of with the complicated time travel. Now, basically, this was made. The time travel thing was basically, they were pretty much the audience of these events. They weren't going back trying to change things of how they happened. Everything in the Bible is as it happened. It is true. But the reason of this series was for these time travelers. They were pretty much like the kids watching this. They were pretty much like the audience in the film watching these events, and pretty much like people researching things about the Bible. Yeah, so in their case, they're researching, actually going to the time periods of these events to observe things as they happen. So, yeah, and like they stated, they're archaeologists. So, yeah, that was part of their thing. So, back with the dream. In the dream, I was here at the house, in the living room, and all of a sudden a knock came on the door, and I think my mom opened it. And I think I did come up in the kitchen. My mom opened the door, and Jesus walked right in, and he looked the way he did in that series I mentioned, and that's why I recognized him, because I was going by what I saw in that series. And I said, "Hi, Jesus," and gave me a big hug and everything. Then, of course, the second dream that I had, where Jesus appeared, was kind of dramatic there, but it did have a good ending though. But it was dramatic at first. In the dream, I want to say this was before Christina and I got married, but we were still dating at this point, either dating or we was at least engaged there. So it was somewhere between the dating state or the engagement. But anyway, in the dream, I was at Kroger, and she was there, and we were sitting at a table, just kind of chilling. There was a few other employees kind of hanging around with us. We saw till probably was just sitting around chatting and stuff like that. And there was some random guy that shows up, and he was really talking down about Christina there, and just was like, and making her really feel bad. And I was pretty upset, and to the point where I just went off on this guy. Now, let me explain. What I mean by went off, I didn't jump up and actually just beat the guy down physically. But I told him off though. I don't know exactly what I said to the guy, but I told him off, and he moved about his business. He went away. Sort of snapped at him. So you think that's it? So you think that's all over? Okay. Then I guess I was back on the clock or something like that, because I was coming back in the receiving area. All of a sudden, this same guy comes out these double doors from the meat market, leading into the hallway to the receiving area, and he faces me and points a gun at me. Like, I mean, I was terrified. I was very terrified. I was like, and nothing. He didn't say anything. He just, yeah, and everything was just quiet. I was, again, like I say, I was really afraid. I was like, please, don't shoot me. And just when he was about to pull, like, it felt like time was slowing down, because his finger, I could see his finger going into the trigger, but it was in like slow mo. Just before he pulled it to the point where the bullet would come out, everything just froze. Like, just, I was still able to move, but everything around me was just frozen. Like what's going on? And out of the double doors, Jesus comes out of the double doors and steps in front and walks up to me, places his hand on my shoulder, like, Gabe, wake up, Gabe, wake up. And I woke up from the dream. That was a really good. Now, like I say, that's a really good ending. Thank God for that. But it was very dramatic in the dream leading up to that ending. Yeah. I guess that's, if y'all heard that sound, that illustrates the dramaticness. But reason I say that, because one thing about, being held up at gunpoint in the dream, yeah, even though it was just a dream, that it's a possibility that I still could have died there, because one thing one of my cousins, Zachary, told me about, when we was talking about the Matrix movies, he said that the people in Matrix actually could die. And it's also possible to die in your dream. That's one thing Matrix movies pointed out, that a person can die in their dream in real life, because this is why. Think about how many of y'all have ever had a dream where you're falling, like, just say in the dream, you're running and all of a sudden you fall off a cliff or something and you're like, ah! And it's like a long fall and you're just screaming and ah! So, let's think of what usually happens when you're scared. When you're scared, your heart rate starts beeping real fast, because you're nervous. Your nerves go, like, yeah. So what's going on? Even though you're dreaming all this, your body laying in the bed your body that's laying in the bed. The heart is all, like, your vital organs, all that are still functioning, which means your brain is thinking like, I'm falling, I'm scared. So that sends a message to your heart to start beating faster in reaction to that, which means under certain circumstances, it could beat to the point where you end up dying in your sleep, similar to how some people have died, say, of cases like, epileptic seizures in their dreams, similar to that, and it's pretty terrifying. Yes. So I was like, wow, seriously, man? Yep, it's true. So yeah, that's why I say, yeah, thank God Jesus showed up, because, like I say, depending on how my heart was beating, I might not would have woken up if Jesus hadn't showed up and told me to wake up. So that's a you say a near-death experience in your sleep. So yep, that was that. Whew. It's kind of intense. That was pretty intense there. Now, this is the dream I just had today. That actually was kind of amazing. Was actually pretty amazing. In the dream I had last night, I was actually at the church. I was actually at one of my old churches, and to the church that I went as a kid, when the church I got baptized at and went to first was New Bethlehem. Then when when I got out of high school, was like 18, going on to 19, stuff like that. Then I started attending First Baptist Church, along with my parents, of course, and now 1 year, 2019, right before the COVID, that's when Christina and I started attending Brookwood. So in the dream, I was at First Baptist. It looked like it was flashing between First Baptist and Brookwood for some reason, but when it got time for the preacher to come up, it was Pastor Odom. And anybody who doesn't know who Pastor Odom is, G.W. Odom, you probably might not know who this is. He was the pastor of New Bethlehem Baptist Church when that I grew up with back at New Bethlehem Baptist Church. He was pretty well known pastor back then, up till when he died there, which was natural cause. Yeah, because not exactly sure how old he was when he died, but I assume he probably was at least in his possible 70s to 80s when I first got baptized there. So he had been around even before I got there. So, but anyway, Pastor Odom was there, despite the fact that he some years ago he passed. He was up preaching at First Baptist, and his sermon was about Jesus' resurrection. And as he started talking about the resurrection of Jesus, all of a sudden, all of us there, we were just instantly seeing what he was talking about. Like we actually, it's almost like we got teleported to the grave where Jesus was at. And in the dream, the way the dream projected it was Peter and two other disciples coming to the grave, and all of a sudden the stone was moved away, just like the Bible states, and Peter was face to face with Jesus himself, and Peter broke down in tears. Almost kind of makes you tear up a little bit to see that, but he broke down in tears, fell to his feet. My boy, I'm so sorry. And I think because remember when Jesus was on trial and everything, before the trial, he told Peter that before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And that actually happened. And when Peter realized that he had done that, he felt really bad about it. So yeah, him crying at Jesus' feet, saying that he was sorry, was actually in result of that. That's how my dream was playing it out. And Jesus got him to come back on his feet. Said, "Don't be afraid, Peter." So that was what I remembered of that there, and it was, like I say, it was pretty that was actually a pretty interesting sight to see there. I mean, like I say, we're right there looking at Peter and Jesus there, like, wow, we're actually just looking at this as Pastor Odom is preaching about it. And this sort of makes me think, I'm gonna have to spoil it. Well, okay, well, maybe not. Oh, well, I guess, since I mentioned it, I guess it probably is a little bit of a spoiler, but, Christina and I, for season 2 of our Royal Talk, our first review to start season 2 of Royal Talk, we're doing the Black Panther movie. Yep, the first Black Panther movie, since the sequel is going to be coming out, on Friday, and yeah, I definitely will be talking about that. So but we're gonna do the review of the first movie and have it up before the sequel comes out. So we were watching it, taking notes for the review yesterday, and when I woke up this morning from that dream, I thought about, that's kind of ironic. We just watched yesterday the Black Panther movie, and I thought about that scene when T'Challa was thrown down by Killmonger. He was thrown down the waterfall. Everybody thought he was dead, and then later you find out that he was found by Baka in the snow, and they brought him back, and he's like, Killmonger, I'm not dead. So, which that's kind of what came to my mind. It's like, we just talk about the resurrection of Jesus right up and just watch that, and before you think, no, I'm not saying Black Panther is Jesus. No, I'm not saying that. don't want to get the wrong idea. But yeah, it was just kind of ironic that we saw that, and then this dream occurs, and a lot of and let's be honest, a lot of shows and movies will reference a lot of different things from the Bible, just like they reference other things in general, in life there. So I mean, that's not really a big surprise, because in that movie Mewtwo Returns from Pokemon, one thing a reviewer, Sway, commented on was when Mewtwo was trying to protect his friends, and they had him animated in this pose. Yeah, you probably get where that's going. So yeah, that's nothing that's really new, But yeah, it was just kind of ironic there, but still cool though. Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, it is a random, but I don't. But yeah, I don't. But yeah, if you got Jesus in the dream, hey, doesn't bother me, all good with me, Let's say, but at least I know everything cool if Jesus there, So yeah, just definitely wanted to share that there. Was gonna record this on my phone at first, but yeah, I'm running at 32 minutes. So yeah, it's probably good. Probably better that I'm doing this here on the laptop for storage purposes there. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say. Elijah and Jesus there. So guys, like what you heard there. Again, if you guys like what you heard there, yeah, definitely. Oh, better yet, yeah, I strongly encourage you to share this with your friends there, because this is definitely something that needs to be shared there. Share it with your friends, and yep, definitely make sure you check out our church services there. Excuse me. On the Brookwood playlist, I definitely will have this video on that playlist, since especially because of the Elijah stuff, relating to the fact that we talked about Elijah at church this past Sunday. So definitely on that playlist. Check out the other Brookwood videos, not just here on the channel, but also at Brookwood Baptist Church's site, because yeah, that way you can even see services that I don't have on the playlist, because there's sometimes I be having to work and causes me to miss the service sometimes, but you can be able to, but you can see those services though on their site, Facebook page, as well as their and I think YouTube channel and their website. So yeah, so definitely do that, and I will see you in the next video. That's pretty much it. So take care, everybody.